This is the Good Governance Radio. GGR. Stay with us. Good Governance Radio.
All right, it's a beautiful morning, and this is welcoming you to Good Governance Radio, where we are definitely here to make sure that you have the best of news and, of course, topical issues making headlines in the major dailies across the country. Once again, a warm welcome to you to this morning edition of the newspaper review and the possible analysis of the topical issues on the newspaper. My name is Chris Passy. I'll be here alone this morning. But then, because of the programs, I might still have my colleague talking about Tony Yodele and Eberechi Eze. They might still join us in the course of the program. But without further ado, we'll definitely go straight to the business of the morning. And what are we talking about? Taking a look at some of the headlines, screaming headlines, and on the front pages of the newspapers. This morning, we've got three newspapers with us in the studio. We have the Punch newspaper, the Blueprints newspaper, and of course, the Vanguard newspaper. So let's get straight to the business, and we're starting our review from the Punch newspaper with the biggest headline, the bold headline, the front page of the Punch newspaper that has this one: Buhari leaves for UK checkup as doctors threaten fresh strike with so many riders, and one of them coming from the presidency. President going for medical follow-up and is to return in July. Buhari beats 21-day requirement, avoids handover to Oshibanjo. Not lament accumulated salaries, says FG fails fulfill promise. Look up for the details of the story on page 7 of the Punch newspaper. Buhari leaves for UK checkup as doctors threaten fresh strike. That is on the page 7 of the Punch newspaper. Still staying with the Punch newspaper, AFDB unveils 10,000 megawatt solar powered plan for 250 million Africans. AFDB unveils 10,000 megawatt solar powered plan for 250 million Africans. Read this detail on page 17 of the Punch newspaper. This one says, we're investing $1 billion in Lagos Ibadan Expressway. And two others that's coming from the Minister of Works and Housing, Babatunde Fashola. Of course, you can read details of that story on page 17 of the Punch newspaper. All right, still staying with the Punch newspaper. This one says, NBC amendment bills against Constitution attempt to criminalize freedom of expression. That's according to Falano. NBC amendment bills against Constitution attempts to criminalize freedom of expression, coming from human rights lawyer Femi Falana, and you can read details of that story on page 11 of the Punch newspaper. All right, still staying with the Punch newspaper, Feni Ferre Ohaneze Pandef insists on restructuring ahead talks with ACF. Detail on page 2. Reps quiz polarized MD over $224 million NNPC alleged hidden accounts. Check up that story on page 18 of the Punch newspaper. We're not leaving Punch newspaper yet. So many more headlines still on the front page. This one says, Ganduje signs MOU on 5,000 housing units for Kano teachers. That's a good one there coming from the Kano State Governor. On this one, Emirates makes a U-turn, accepts Nigeria, South Africa, Indian passengers. I'll read details of that on page 18 of the Punch newspaper. Of course, that story that has generated or is still generating a lot of reaction on various platforms is this particular story of a student, Unilag student that actually stabbed, who should, how should I refer to his victim, or rather, a man that she spent time with in an hotel. She ended up killing this particular person. And that story is on pages 4 and 5, respectively, of the Punch newspaper. Super TV CEO, suspects father arrested, lecturers, classmates shocked. Unilag silent. All right, that's the story of a Unilag student that killed a man, a media personality, in an hotel somewhere in Lagos. All right, this one says court hears suit challenging article's citizenship, September 27. All right, this story is still in the news. Article's citizenship, is it really from Nigeria or from Cameroon? All right, courts will definitely decide that, and you can read details of that story on page 8 of the Punch newspaper. And the final two stories on the front page of the Punch newspaper has to be this one: 65,800 Borno farmers kicked out of farms by terrorists. That's according to FAO. And finally, FCTA increases surveillance as cholera kills 791 hospitalized. That's a sad one coming from the Punch newspaper. You can read details of that on page 7 of the Punch newspaper. All right, we move on to the next paper that we have in the studio, and that's the Blueprint newspaper. Of course, we're going straight to the headlines on the front page of the Blueprint newspaper. Don't forget, this is still Good Governance Radio. And of course, it is the newspaper segment review on our morning show. And you can join conversation. You can react to any of the headlines that we are currently reading out to you on 0913-023-6602. Once again, 0913-023-6602. And you can stream live at www.ggr.com.ng. And of course, our YouTube channel is at Good Governance Radio. And of course, we are streaming live on Facebook as well at Good Governance Radio. We'll definitely be expecting your comments. Of course, we'll take them, read them out in the course of this program. All right, quickly, let's move back to the Blueprints newspaper and take some of the headlines. The bold headline on the front page of the Blueprints newspaper has this one: Kayamo on public works paying 774,000 participants may not be visible. Why? All right, with the riders, 413,630 beneficiaries get 24.8 billion allowance. Says program will reflect economy bottom up. All right, Kayamo on public works paying 774,000 participants may not be visible. You can read details of that story on page 6 of the Blueprints newspaper. Dangote Group plans Cameroon oil gas push. Page 23 of the Blueprints newspaper has that story. Dangote Group plans Cameroon oil gas push. Fan begs airlines passengers orders over poor facilities. Fans begs airlines passengers over poor facilities in at the various airports. All right, with details of that story on page 24 of the Blueprints newspaper. COVID-19 vaccine, FG extends second dose administration by 10 days, urges Nigerians to take jab. Details of that story on page 9 of the Blueprints newspaper. And coming down here, still staying with the Blueprints newspaper, insecurity Irabo Palace retired senior officers on way out. Irabo Palace retired senior officers on way out with the rider. All this shall come to pass, Osibanjo assures. Special squad kills 5, arrests 3 bandits in Niger, and Buhari jets out to London for medical appointment. Read up details of that on page 5 of the Blueprint newspaper. Not leaving the Blueprint newspaper yet. So giving you some of the headlines. This one says Nigeria has biggest electricity deficit in Africa. That's coming from the ECA. 45 years after Yetola inaugurates 8.1 kilometer Moyo Yakoyo Ikpetumodu Asipa Road. All right, if I got those names correctly. And FG states LG share 605.958 billion for Mayor. That's the federal allocation. And of course, let me quickly take this picture story on the front page of the Blueprint newspaper that has the INEC chairman and of course the other staff. Yes, from the picture story we have from the left, National Commissioner, Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC Barrister May Agbamuche Mbu, INEC Chairman Professor Mahmoud Yakubu, National Commissioners Barrister Festus Okoye, a Vice Marshal Amit Moazu retired, and Mala Mohammed Aruna during the launching of INEC voters enrollment device at the INEC headquarters in Abuja. All the 4, top brass of the Independent National Electoral Commission are right here are displaying the new device that will be used for the CVR exercise that is built to start from Monday next week. All right, finally, on our review segment this morning, we picked up the Vanguard newspaper to give you the headlines on the Vanguard newspaper. The whole headlines on the front page of the Vanguard newspaper. Newspaper has this one: allegation of Southerners provoking not. Ohaneze, Pandef, Afenifere take Arewa Forum to tax. With the rider, such comment should be ignored. ACF scribe contradicts Audobe. Afenifere, Northerners are the ones provoking Southerners. Ohaneze, South only seeking egalitarian nation, not war. That's coming from Pandef. Right, love. A reaction to that particular statement, allegation of Southerners provoking the North. With Ohaneze Pandef Afenifere taking a swipe at the Northern Elders Forum in a reaction to that story. And this one says, unethical practices, NYSC probes blocks 1,000 core members' accounts. Insecurity will soon become history in Nigeria. I'm not the one saying that's actually coming from the Vice President, Professor Yemi Oshibanjo. And of course, still staying with the Vanguard newspaper, Dangote receives highest civilian honor in Cameroon. Anti-media bills, media can't be caught. That's coming from Oshoba. And Africa faces fast-surging COVID-19 third wave, says WHO. 4,708 persons experience moderate severe effects after COVID-19 vaccination. That's coming from the federal government. We wouldn't be frivolous in approving loans. Lawan, page 8 of the Vanguard newspaper has that story, talking about the story that has to do with the Senate President, Ahmed Lawan, who says that Nigeria wouldn't be frivolous in approving, the Senate wouldn't be frivolous in approving loans. And of course, still staying with the Vanguard newspaper, 774,000 jobs. We've paid 24 billion naira to 413,630 beneficiaries. That's coming from the Minister of State for Labor, Festus Kayamo. And you can read the details of that story on page 8 of the Vanguard newspaper. 2023, INEC launches online portal for voter registration. Read up details of that on page 9 of the Vanguard newspaper. And finally, the story that seems to appear on almost all the papers this morning: Buhari off to London on medical trip today. All right, and we'll be back, and he will be back during the first week of July. Okay, let's take a look at some sport headline on the back page of the Vanguard newspaper. That's Vanguard Sport. Mexico friendly. Rio has no faith in home-based players, says Iguavoin. Explain why he took charge. Denmark fan tests positive for COVID-19. This one is the scary one. The fan tested positive for COVID-19. How has we just hope that it hasn't spread to to a level where it will be uncontrollable, because this has been one of the reasons why some of the stadium has been used sparingly, just to make sure that there's much room for social distancing and other measures to curb the spread of COVID-19. Returning Benzema releases first Euro Championship goals. And of course, UEFA scraps away goals rule in club competitions. Hungary made history despite early exit, says coach. Lagos Athletic Championship, Nigerian women 4x400 relay team picks Olympic ticket. 27 years after, FG redeems house pledge to 1994. Super Eagles squad. This seems to be one of the biggest and the most exciting story to have come out from the Nigerian football scene. 27 years after, FG redeems house pledged to 1994, winning Super Eagles squad. All right, I'm sure those players will be super excited to finally, receive this particular gift from the federal government after 27 years. NFF impanels LOC for Aisha Buhari Invitational Tournament. And of course, those are some of the headlines on the sports page of the Vanguard newspaper. Talking about Vanguard Sports, this is still Good Governance Radio. And of course, we just did justice to the newspaper review at this point, so we'll go for a short break, and when we return, we'll take comment. Some of you have already started sending your comment, and of course, we're going to take them today. Then possibly, dwell on one or two issues today before we call it a wrap. Please do stay tuned. Once again, you can join conversation with us on 0913 023 6602. You can also stream live by joining us at www.ggr.com. .ng and YouTube channel at Good Governance Radio, Facebook Live at Good Governance Radio. This is still Good Governance Radio. Of course, my name hasn't changed, Chris Passy. Please do stay tuned. We'll be back in just a moment.
Your systems are offline. This is the Good Governance Radio. GGR. Stay with us.
Your online radio. The new online radio that makes you happy.
The Good Governance Radio.
All right, we're glad to know that you are still there, and thank you for rejoining us on our program this morning. This is still Good Governance Radio. And of course, we are taking a look at what is happening, what is making headlines in some of our dailies. We've reviewed three newspapers, the Blueprints, the Vanguard, and the Punch newspaper. And of course, we are at the point of going through details of some of the stories, and of course, also taking your reactions, your comments on our social media platform. All right, before taking the details of the story, let's quickly take a look at some of the comments that we've received so far. And the program this morning, and this one is coming from Abdullahi Sani, Abdullahi Sani KKR. He says the major news in our state and area is that the bandits are not allowing the farmers to go to their farms. The major news in our states and area is that the bandits are not allowing the farmers to go to their farms. All right, so that's a very worrying situation there, and that's the very reason why we're having, the high cost of food. The prices of food have actually gone so up to the extent that a food item that was sold for about 100 naira a couple of months ago will now go for double or triple of that amount, and that has been largely due to the fact that bandits have actually occupied the farms, not allowing the farmers to go back to their farm. So probably we just hope that the security agencies will definitely do their best to make sure that the farmers can actually go back to farms, so that the succor will come to Nigerians at this point in time. Thank you very much, Abdullahi, for your comment on that particular topic. And this one from Steve Obina said, this one is not a case of Allah judging them. It is a case of convincing your president to allow the creation of state police, better equipping, training, and funding the state police created. Okay, a reaction to bandit taking over the farms, and this one is saying state police will help to curb, the attack of farmers by bandits right there. Okay, and this one from Shehu Azan Shagari said, "Safe trip, Mr. President." That's a reaction to the president trip to the United Kingdom. Of course, let's get straight up to the paper and follow up that story that has been reacted upon by Shehu Azan Shagari that said, "Safe trip, my president." Okay, different stroke for different folks, and of course, while a lot of Nigerians have been throwing tantrum at the president for yet another trip to the UK, this man is saying, "Safe trip, Mr. President." Now let's read details of that story. Buhari leaves for UK, checked up as doctors threaten fresh strike. The president, Major General Muhammadu Buhari, retired, will on Friday, that's today, proceed to London for a scheduled medical follow-up. A special advisor on media and publicity, Femi Adesina, disclosed this on Thursday in a statement titled, "President Buhari off to London Friday for medical follow-up." The statement read, and I quote, "President Muhammadu Buhari will proceed to London, the United Kingdom, on Friday, that's today, June 25th, 2021, for a scheduled medical follow-up. He is due back in the country during the second week of July 2021. Buhari leaves for London at a time of looming threat of industrial action from the National Association of Resident Doctors. Recall that the president had on Tuesday, March 30, 2021, embarked on a medical trip to London for a routine medical checkup and returned 2 weeks later. All right, that's the big news there, and a lot of Nigerians have actually been reacting. Every year, huge amount of money is budgeted for the State House Clinic, but then the president cannot, allow himself to be treated at that particular facility. And of course, a lot of people are saying we still have world-class medical facilities in the country. And of course, that's where the president should be patriotic enough to make sure that he gets treated at those facilities all across the country. And of course, But then the president has decided to go back to London, and we just hope that there will not be another protest by Nigerians in diaspora who are always very uncomfortable wherever the president decides to go abroad for medical treatment. And of course, if you ask those loyal to the president, will tell you the president has his personal preferred medical team, doctors that he trusts so much. He has his trust on his private physicians and is going to them for the medical checkup. All right, whatever it is, of course, everyone is entitled to his or her own opinion on this particular recurring issue. Buhari leaves for UK checkup as doctors threaten fresh strike. All right, I will leave that story. And of course, let's take this particular story on the page 4 and 5 of the Punch newspaper. Super TV CEO, suspect's father arrested, lecturer, classmate shock. Unilag are definitely remaining silent. They don't want to comment on that particular story. It's a story that has actually gone viral, and there's been a whole lot of reaction coming from Nigerians with respect to this particular story. It's a very unfortunate incident, and of course, it's actually it's a story that's demands attention. And we're looking at it on page 4 and 5 of the Punch newspaper. Men of the Lagos State Police Command have arrested the father of Chidinma Ojukwu, who allegedly stabbed the chief executive officer of Super TV, Usifo Ataga, to death. A top police source who pleaded anonymity because he was not authorized to speak on the matter told a newsman that the suspect and her father were arrested at the residence in the Yaba area of Lagos. The source said the father was arrested for resisting Chidinma's arrest and for becoming violent with police who went to apprehend her. All right, there's been a lot of reaction to this particular story. There's been a lot of reaction. The father said he reacted because he never believed that his daughter could commit such heinous crime. And of course, Chidinma's classmate in Unilag also reacted to this. Yes, one of them says that, and I quote, Chidinma, yes, who claimed to be a 300 level student in the Department of Mass Communication, University of Lagos, confessed to stabbing Ataga to death while being paraded at the State Police Command. A lecturer in the department who spoke to one of our correspondents on condition of anonymity said, I know her, Chidinma, because of her beauty and innocent look. She's an introvert to the core. Of course, another lecturer also confirmed that Chidinma is a 300 level student in the Department of Mass Communication. And one of Chidinma's classmates who spoke on condition of anonymity said, Chidinma is a 300 level part-time student of mass communication, and I know her, but we're not on talking terms. She doesn't interact with many people. She's a rescue. A sad story right there. And Chidinma actually narrated what led to her stabbing a man friends to death. Said the man attempted to rape her, and of course she actually had to put up a self-defense sort of, but then is that enough reason to kill someone? And of course, another sad angle to the story is that Chidinma said he took a lot of drugs and of course drink, and he was on drug, he was high on drugs, and that could possibly be the reason why he had to react. But then you want to ask this question: at 21, were you supposed to be in an hotel with a married man? Were you supposed to, have taken, substances that could actually make you lose your senses? And the parent too should not be left out totally in terms of apportioning blames to them. At 21, what kind of training did you give to your child that she couldn't, stay at home and of course, probably go to school that she was sent to. So it's a sad story. So sad story. The family of the deceased would definitely have to bear the loss, and Chidima, the long arm of the laws will also have to take, its course on her. It's a murder case, irrespective of how one wants to look at it. Now let's talk about the 774,000 job created by the federal government, and this one is coming from the Minister of State for Labor, Festus Kayamo. He's saying that's about 413,630 beneficiaries have been paid, a total of 24.8 billion allowances so far, and he says the program will reflect economy bottom up. Okay, let's quickly see most details of that story on page 6 of the Blueprint newspaper. All right, it goes thus. The federal government said it has so far paid 24.8 billion as stipends to the beneficiaries of a special public works program, SPWP. The government also said it may not be able to pay all the 774,000 Nigerians who participated in the program. Why? Minister of State for Labor and Employment, Festus Kayamo, said this at a week briefly meeting organized by the Presidential Communication Team in Abuja. The SPWP was approved October 2019 by President Muhammadu Buhari, and it is domiciled in the National Directorate of Employment, parastatal of the Ministry of Labor and Employment. The program seeks to address the problem of unemployment across the country, especially in the rural areas, thus making the unemployed youth more useful to themselves and the society. And Kayamo is saying they can't pay 774,000, of those youths that are to engage in this. They call it menial job because it's just a job of clearing the gutters, sweeping the market square, and of course, it's not an high skilled job. But then I think it will take a lot of Nigerians, a lot of youth, unemployed youth, off the streets. But the government can still do more. The government can still do more. Just hope that you definitely, the potential will definitely get to those that really are in need of this kind of job. All right, finally, I will take this story coming from INEC resume CVR Monday. And of course, they've deployed 5,346 personnel to 2,673 centers for this exercise that is slated to commence on Monday. Details of this story is on page 14 of the Blueprint newspaper. After the expansion of voters' access through the conversion of voting points and voting settlements to additional polling unit, the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, beg your pardon, INEC has expressed readiness to commence a continuous voter registration CVR on Monday next week. Chairman of the commission, Professor Mahmoud Yakubu, who started this on Thursday at a press conference in Abuja, noted that all equipment for the exercise have been acquired while the registration software has been updated. According to the INEC chairman, the commission planned for the deployment of 5,346 staff to 2,673 registration centers across the nation. And I quote him here. He said, "We are now ready to resume the CVR on Monday next week." All right, let's hope that this will record success and a lot of Nigerians will go out there to register. They've always been clamoring for continuous voter registration. So next week, Monday, go out there and register and get your PVC ahead of the 2023 general election. All right. This is where we're going to be drawing the curtain on our newspaper review segment this morning. Sorry, we can't take much of analysis because we do not have our analysts in the studios this morning, but I'm sure I've been able to do justice to some of the headlines that appears on the bulletin this morning. All right, thank you very much for staying with us on the newspaper review segment on Good Governance Radio for this morning. My name is Chris Passy. Hopefully on Monday, God's willing, we'll be back here full house. I hope to have a Berechi, Chidera, and of course Tuna your daily joining in the studio, where we'll do a very robust analysis of topical issues, and of course also take a look at some of the headlines right here in our studios. Thank you very much once again for being part of our world this morning. And I also want to acknowledge those that send their messages: Abdullahi Sani, Stephen Obina, Shil Hassan, Shagari. Thank you very much. Please keep your messages coming. And of course, I promise you that we will definitely do justice to them by reading them live here on air. All right, my name is Chris Passy, and do have a wonderful weekend ahead, and bye for now.
You are listening to GGR, Good Governance Radio. Stay with us.